folks, if I could have your attention, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Council of the City of Ottawa, Illinois. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Awesome. Gainier.
Here.
Eichelkraut.
Here.
Less.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
We have 5 present.
Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to have a moment of silence and remembrance for Jim Rick, who the mayor of Naples, who passed away on Sunday. Mayor Rick loved his community. It was pretty obvious, and I got to know him a little bit better during this past year after the tornado, and I know that he personally felt the anguish of so many people in his little village who suffered so much. So if you'd all stand, we'll do that, and then we'll move into the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
After this, yeah. Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that the minutes of a regular meeting of the Council of the City of Ottawa, Illinois, held on Tuesday, January 16th, 2018, be approved as recorded in the permanent files of the City Clerk.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Is there anyone wishing to appear before the council tonight? If so,
Yeah.
Peg, would you identify yourself, please?
No, it's Anna. Yeah.
Anna.
Good evening. I'm Anna Koval, and I'm the president of the Canal Corridor Association. We're the coordinating entity for the Illinois and Michigan Canal National Heritage Area. We're the first national heritage area in the country, and there are 48 others that have followed in our footsteps. We were signed into law by President Ronald Reagan. So we have offices in LaSalle. We run the canal boat there and the Lock 16 Visitor Center. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the City of Ottawa for the leadership you have shown in figuring out how to bring water back to your part of the canal for a relatively small amount of money. You are setting a great example for other canal communities as they work to restore the canal through their jurisdiction. I believe a rewatered canal has great potential to attract more visitors, and I believe that you will receive a great deal of publicity throughout the process. The canal is becoming better known all the time, and I believe this year, during the bicentennial, we will receive more visitors than ever. I hope that you can see your way to make this investment in rewatering your portion of the canal. I believe it will be a good investment for Ottawa and LaSalle County. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Anna. Anyone else? Barry?
Thank you, Council, for considering my comments tonight. Some of you know me. My name is Seth Perry. I am a local chiropractor and small business owner. After graduating from Palmer College in 2001, my exceptional wife, Kate, and I chose to bring our family home to where I grew up. And I've been practicing at our office at 111 East Canal Avenue ever since. Regarding the topic of rewatering the canal, I stand before you tonight to speak not for myself, though. Rather, I am here to represent the wishes and visions of my deceased father and former business partner, Dr. Byron Perry. I am certain he would be disapproving, though heartened by me standing here in his stead tonight, as one of the only things that matched his distaste for politics was his passionate love for this city and its rich history. If you'll allow me, I'd like to share an example of that passion. I have the Friday, May 27th, 2011 copy of the Times, in which there's a bit of an article that I'd like to share. It's titled Record Memories, Graduate Reunited with Recording. It says, it starts, last Saturday, Lenita Odell Sims enjoyed the music of fond memories. A few weeks back, Byron Perry, an Ottawa chiropractor with a barely controllable obsession with Ottawa history, was exploring the Princeton Antique Mall when an old record in a plain white cardboard cover caught his eye. The record's typed label indicated it was a May 27, 1960 recording of the OHS Mixed Quartet and listed the names of the group's members. Figuring it came from Ottawa Township High School, Perry asked around. I thought, wouldn't it be great to get the record back in the hands of one of the singers, Perry said. After a bit of internet sleuthing, one of the students, Lenita Odell, of the class of 1960, was located living near Eliza, a tiny Mississippi River town north of Alton. Perry called Lenita Sims and was astonished to learn that she was a retired music teacher. Sims was probably even more astonished. It was really a surprise. Totally, she told the Times. I can't believe Dr. Perry went to all this trouble. I was just elated. Now, I found this article in one of my father's office desk drawers after his passing, along with countless other Ottawa stories, an email correspondence with his co-members of the Ottawa Canal Association, and yet to be displayed trinkets of Ottawa history that patients would kindly donate him. There was a big packet that I just saw today that I wanted to bring, and it was entitled "The Preservation of Ottawa History." That one really caught my eye. All of this collection and sharing of the Ottawa Canal history was due to his love for Ottawa. Worth noting, my father did not grow up here. He was raised in a suburb outside of Hartford, Connecticut. Despite this fact, he chose Ottawa because of how much he loved its history. For this reason, I believe if he were standing before you here tonight, he would ask the council to approve this rewatering project. Now, like my father, I understand well enough how politics work. I realize if many, if not all of you, have already made your decision on how you will vote tonight. However, if you have not, I kindly ask you consider what the opinion would be of a man who loved the city and its history. Dr. Byron understood what this canal meant to the forming of Ottawa. He would have called this project a no-brainer for the preservation of our local history. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Seth. Anyone else like to address the council? Inga?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Inga Karras. I'm a member of the board of the Canal Corridor Association. I'm the chairman of Karras Corporation. I'm a citizen of Ottawa for the last 25 years and have come to love it very much. And I, along with my husband Peter, we're investors in downtown Ottawa, of which the Lone Buffalo is one, and several others are in the final design phase. Ottawa has made great progress in the last 15 to 20 years under the vision and leadership of Mayor Bob Eschbach. I can't tell you how many times in the last year, people outside of Ottawa, in Chicago and even in Michigan, have said, Ottawa, I've heard of that. It's the new Galena, right? And it's because it's become a beautiful town in the time that I've lived here. And so I'm here to speak very strongly in favor of the rewatering of the canal because I believe it would be a huge attraction to Ottawa, coming from the north, seeing the canal being watered, coming to Washington Park, and down to the riverfront, which is being developed. Just recently, I was asked by a site selector firm to talk to a candidate who's looking at Ottawa to locate a large European manufacturer here. And they didn't want to know about electricity and water supply. They wanted to know about, is there a trained workforce? And what is the quality of life like in Ottawa? So I told them, we have a great workforce here in this region, and the quality of life in Ottawa is incredible. We have festivals, we have Christmas markets, We have beautiful flower decorations, and we're going to restore the canal. I really urge the City Council to vote in favor of the rewatering of this canal. It would make a huge difference to Ottawa. And as Anna Koval stated earlier, the canal boat in LaSalle attracted 87,000 people to LaSalle last year. That's a huge amount of revenue that would come to Ottawa if we had a watered canal. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Inga. Anyone else have anything for the council tonight? Arnie?
Good evening. My name is Arnie Banstra. I think some of you know me, maybe some of you don't. I guess some people connect me with the canal and the canal with me, but it's not my project. It really is the people's project, and I see that every time we enter a new phase, do something new, there's more people that come and say, hey, I want to be part of that. That's how Dr. Perry came into our group and entered in the board. And so many other people. When it came time to paint the boat, people came out of the woodwork. We thought it was going to take a long day and we might not finish painting the boat on that Saturday when we painted it. It was done in 3 hours because there were so many people willing to work and pitched in. But it's not a new idea, as I think some of our speakers have said so far. The comprehensive plan for the I&M Canal was done in 1974 and is still the current comprehensive plan. None has preceded it or succeeded it. And Anna already talked about the National Heritage Corridor in 1984. There's been so many books and studies done on the canal. The Toll House restoration study was done in the early 2000s. The University of Chicago with Michael Konzen has written so many studies about the canal. Lewis University, NIU, and others have done all kinds of studies. And so it's been something that's on people's minds for a long time. Many books have been written, even an old book that Bob Eschbach handed me when I first came to Ottawa, Canal Town. This book identified Ottawa as the Canal Town. And then the most interesting one is a recent book giving a full story of the I&M Canal. If you haven't seen this book, you need to get a copy of it. Tom Wilcoxon and his artwork did a complete trip from LaSalle to Chicago in, a fictional trip in the 1850s, and well illustrated, and I've given the commissioners a copy. There are so many pages dedicated to Ottawa. Pages 35 through 45 are all about Ottawa. Ottawa is a key part of the canal. I was talking about the volunteers. I hang up in the toll house a list of people who have volunteered in so many ways to get us to where we are now, from people like Sherwin-Williams Company, who gave us the paint to paint the boat. And when we moved the boat over by the toll house, some of you may remember that. In fact, somebody reminded me how they were stuck in the traffic that day when we had a snag turning the boat in, and I thought I was really in big trouble, but we got through it. Snook gave us the use of cranes. Reese Concrete did the concrete work. Western Sand and Gravel provided the concrete for the foundation. Grand Rapids Enterprises did the operation. Larry Keist, Sr., with his lowboy, moved the boat. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just pass this down to the council and see all the people that volunteered in so many ways to bring us to where we are now. It was back in 2002 that Mike Etchide had done the first real detailed study of how can we rewater the canal through Ottawa. And, excuse me, that was the beginning when I started to get involved, and I read that study, and we took off from there. And 2004, shortly after that study, DNR restored the toll house. Some of you remember what it was in years past, and it was totally restored. And then a group started to see that empty toll house sitting there doing nothing. And when a few people started to furnish it so that it could be a a display and really teach the locals and visitors the history that people came together. And Marty Rulin, for example, gave many things that are in the toll house. Another example of people pitching in. And then after we started to get going, we saw the need to form a not-for-profit organization. So we have that in place and have had it since 2008 so that we can receive donations and keep the project going. So we have an organization. And then when it was completed, we started to bring people into it. And I thank Linda Roberts, who's sitting back there, a former teacher in the area, and she contacted elementary schools, and we got Steve Springer, the history teacher from the high school, to bring his students, and he teaches about the canal. So we're educating the next generation that's going to follow on behind us. We've had great cooperation with the Reddick Mansion when we do programs and we direct our visitors from one to the other site. And that is part of building a greater mass of making Ottawa more of a destination for tourists and people to come. I talked about moving the boat in 2009, and I remember how Wayne Eichelkraut was very encouraging to us, and he still is. In fact, I've got a picture of us putting that dropping the boat in place on the foundation. I think Wayne was pulling on a rope to guide it in, and so everybody was pitching in. We had so many volunteers. We revised the study, and the interesting thing is the original study that Etchai Duttlinger had done estimated the project would cost $4.5 million. And when this new group started to look at it, we said, we've got to be able to pull that into a reasonable sized project to make it work. And we had a estimate that we started to float out there of 1.3. We brought the length down a little bit. We eliminated some of the aspects of it and got it down to 1.3. And then now, just in the last 6 months, we've paid McClure Engineering, who had done a lot of volunteer work before they got the contract to actually finish the plans. They put so much time in on a volunteer basis, and we worked and got it down to a pretty reasonable number of $600,000 for the project at this point. We've talked about the benefits of tourism, and I could go on, and I know you don't want me to, because I'm pretty passionate about the project, as you all know. But it's going to bring tourists. We've already done that working with Anna Koval. We've done some bus tours that would stop at various places along the canal. And one of the key places was the toll house and the canal boat sitting there. And so the recreational opportunities we've talked about, you've heard about. It's like Mrs. Karras said, it's the entrance to downtown. So it's really going to enhance that. Other people have said some of the things I was going to say. And so we're at the point where the city is taking over the project, which they need to. Department of Natural Resources needs the city to be the entity to carry this on. And that's pretty much what this decision is about today, is for the city to accept the project and move it ahead to construction, which as we've been working with the Army and Marine Reserves, they're planning on working in the canal, if this passes, this July. We will have excavating equipment, and we'll be moving ahead, and we need this approval to move to the next phase to make it happen. Thank you for the opportunity. I do covet your approval of the project.
Anybody else have anything for the council? Kane? Oh, I got Peter too. Hold on, let Peter go. Ted, his hand was up and I missed it.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Peter Limberger, I'm the husband of Inga Keros, also one of the investors here in town. Many know it. I just want to make one remark. We have heard so much now about the beauty of the canal. It attracts so many people. Not too much has been talked about the investment side of it. I simply think it is a truly great investment. If you just look at the financials, we heard 90,000, almost 90,000 visitors in LaSalle. If each one just leaves $5 in sales tax here, you have the money recouped in 1 year. Think about that. Beyond the historic aspects and the beauty and the tourist attraction, the beautification of the city, it's just a good investment. So I encourage the council to also look at this fact.
Kane?
I'm Kane Fairbaugh, and I'm simply a taxpayer who lives on the river and runs on the canal. I'm here tonight to express my endearing support for the canal rewatering and redevelopment project. But more importantly, I'm here as a taxpayer to express my support for what this canal rewatering project means ultimately for our city. A vote in support of this project is a vote in support of our future, and a vote in support of a committed vision for Ottawa's progress. It will never be more affordable or more practical or timely to undertake this project than it is now. Earnest and committed members of this community whom you have heard from tonight have seized initiative to problem solve the creation and financing of this project and have brought before you a plan that significantly reduces the burden of this improvement project on the tax-paying citizens of this city. I commend their initiative and their diligence, and I'm eternally thankful for all that you've done so far. To be clear, you are not voting tonight to make a direct and immediate expenditure, but you are committing to this vision and a plan for this project. For you to expect that only private money and initiative should be spent to develop and promote publicly owned land such as this is an unfair and undue burden on those citizens committed to this effort. Their time, effort, and even money is already being spent to enhance this part of our community that all of our citizens and all of our potential visitors can benefit from. They have nothing to personally gain from this project and have so far dedicated their time, talents, and resources for the larger good. The real costs to the city are minimal compared to the value in executing the overall scope of this project and its eventual benefits. And those citizens working to make it a reality now deserve your support. You can thank them by voting to approve this project. With the circumstances before you, that the project will generate tourism, continue beautification efforts, and opportunity for revenue generation, that the major concerns about sanitation and environment are being addressed, that there is a community group ready to support and sustain this project, that in order to make this project a reality, there is private money pledged to its creation, that there are a variety of agencies ready to use the waterway for programs and education, and that the cost is dramatically reduced because of the opportunity to work with our men and women in uniform to make it a reality, are all factors that should encourage you to support this project and support it now and through to its completion. This decision is not just about putting water into our canal. It is about putting investment into our city's future. Supporting this project sends a clear and definitive message that our leaders are committed to improving this city and moving it forward. It sends a message that our city leaders are committed to a vision that sees potential in our natural resources. It sends a message that those we have elected to represent us are committed to making our community and our surroundings better than it was when they inherited it. You know, for far too long, opportunity has passed by our city like the ships that sail down the Illinois River that never stop and dock here. And for far too long, people in similar positions with the power to change this reality have not seized the opportunity when it was before them. And instead, some have allowed repetitive and in many cases anonymous critics to dominate the airspace about a great many of these issues. Concerned that maybe this is going to help them win the next election, instead of focusing on creating a better legacy for this city, where my children, your children, and our grandchildren will one day live. Your decision to support this canal project sends a message to the taxpayers and the voters in this area that you are ready to responsibly spend our tax money while simultaneously moving this community forward to both preserve its natural beauty and capitalize on its potential resources, and that you have a committed vision for progress. And this is only the first step. If you can't make an easy decision such as the one before you tonight, how will you make tougher, even more difficult decisions down the road in larger, more expensive, and more involved development opportunities, say along the river or in the industrial park? Your talents and your initiative will be required to problem solve and finance those efforts. And what you decide here tonight gives us all insight into how you will perform in the future. We need dramatic vision and ideas that bring new physical and economic development to a community that has for far too long been somewhat stagnant. The good news here is that this project and the hard work that is involved with it is already done for you. The vision exists, as does the means to move forward. Even the physical work of this project is already planned and will be executed for us by the men and women in uniform. All you need to do now is say yes, and I would appreciate it if you did. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kane. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? You're on the agenda. Let me see. I'll be with you in a minute. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have any comments for the council tonight? Pamela?
That's kind of a tough act to follow. I don't have quite the power in my voice that Kane has, nor necessarily the same position. I'm actually just here to say that I am not originally from Ottawa, Illinois, and I came here via Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio, Naperville, and Peoria. And from 1989 to 2002, Ottawa was just a stop. We would go to McDonald's on our way from Naperville to our second home in Lake Thunderbird in Tiscawah. And it was 45 minutes exactly between our house in Ottawa and 45 minutes from Ottawa to Lake Thunderbird. And we had at the time a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old in the back seat, so we would stop at McDonald's and throw cheeseburgers into the back seat, and that's about all we really knew about Ottawa, Illinois at the time. But in 1992, we relocated to Peoria, and for many, many years, 9 or 10 to be exact, I worked with the Easter Seal Organization of Central Illinois. And so as a result of my work with Easter Seals there, actually Don Harris and some other people gave me the opportunity to become the president of Easter Seals of LaSalle and Bureau counties, which was the smallest affiliate out of 91 Easter Seal affiliates in the country. So I didn't really know too much about Ottawa, but I decided to take the position at that time. So now, fast forward from 2002 to the current time, living in Ottawa, which I did not move here for the first 4 years. I commuted every day from Metamora to Ottawa for 4 years because I did not believe there were opportunities here for me. I was very worried if the Easter Seal organization did not make it under my direction, that I would be stuck in Ottawa, Illinois, looking for a leadership position. So I commuted for 4 years. When I knew that Easter Seals was going to make it, and they are still alive today, I moved here. So I am now celebrating only my 10th anniversary as a citizen of Ottawa, Illinois, but I know that I made the right move. And I truly believe that all of the epiphany, the true epiphany that has occurred in this community, particularly in the last 19 years, has made it a wonderful place for anyone to live. There are leadership positions available now. I have recently founded the Starbuck Country Community Foundation, and we have Boyd and Tom and Bob and Inga, who are actually on the board of that. And to be the newest community foundation in the United States and to do the good works that we're doing for all of our citizens throughout this community makes me very proud. I feel like I've lived here all my life, And I truly believe that if we do not take this opportunity now, one of my concerns is that, let's say that we decide to wait 3 years, or we wait 10 years, or whatever the case may be, this is a tremendous lost opportunity for this community. All of the stars have aligned. I mean, when would we have the Army Corps of Engineers come again and be willing to do this amount of work? And when would we have the community so on fire about what's happening in Ottawa, partly because of CL Enterprises, partly because of all of you on the council, your vision, particularly Bob's vision, and everyone's support of Mayor Bob. And I honestly believe that this could be a tremendous lost opportunity if we don't take it now. So as a non-local, someone new to the community, again, I know I made the right decision to live here, and I'm very proud to call myself an Ottawan. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela. Anybody else? I'd just like to point out somebody in the front row here, and that's Jim Mustard. And since I've been mayor, Jim's been on my tail about the canal. He was one of the founders of the Canal Association, and it was Jim's idea that we ought to get the military involved in doing all of this earthwork. And that resulted in us having an agreement with the Illinois National Guard three years ago or so. Unfortunately, even though we had the approval, that was when the sequestration thing happened and the money was yanked. But he was one that gave us the idea that ultimately resulted, I would say, in the U.S. Marine Reserves and the Army Reserves being involved. So been at it for a long time, and thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay. On with the agenda, and we have a presentation by the VFW, and okay.
Thank you, Council, and ladies and gentlemen, my name is Darrell Peters. I am the commander of the Ottawa VFW. I'm on my 5th term as the commander of the VFW. I'm also currently the 9th District Commander for the Department of Illinois Veterans of Foreign Wars. This evening, we would like to do a couple of things, is make the council aware and the community aware of what we're doing in June of this year, and that is bringing the half-scale replica of the Vietnam Moving Wall to Ottawa. This is a very huge endeavor. It's going to take $20,000 to $25,000 to do this, and a lot of volunteers to make it happen when it's here. And we're just reaching out in every chance that we can to make this happen. I have been probably at it 3, 4 to 8 hours. Mike Glad, which is our chairman, has been at it 10 to 18 hours a day, just trying to get all this together to make this wall happen and make it great for Ottawa and great for the veterans of this community. With that said, the other thing we're here for this evening is to honor the fire department and the police department. So if they, Chief, if you guys wouldn't mind stepping forward. One thing that sometimes we forget is the people that are behind supporting us. And these two institutions standing right here have been there unwavering ever since I have been commander and a member of this post, which has been going on 13 years now. What we have is from the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, awards this citation to the Ottawa, Illinois Police Department and the Ottawa, Illinois Fire Rescue and EMS, an expression of our sincere appreciation and full praise for services rendered to the veterans community. In witness whereof, wow, sorry, I gotta take these off. We have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States this 6th day of February 2018. Darrell Peters, Commander, Michael Glad, Senior Vice Commander. Chief, thank you very much. We also have one other gift for them. these prints that we have here, that we have them covered up for a reason, they were painted by a Vietnam veteran. And what this gentleman does is he goes around the United States and he prints these murals in different VFWs, Legion Halls, AMVETS, Marine Corps Leagues. And what he did is he gave us 2 of these prints. And we felt that they should hang in the fire department and the police department. The first one to Chief Wilson. Very heavy. These things are made, I hand made these frames out of pallet wood. We wanted to make them special and make them last. So, sir, thank you for everything that you do.
Can you hold it up so we can see it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Probably don't want to see my hat. Chief Harlow. This one here means a lot to everybody. And this is one of his best works. I know it's a little smaller, but you know what? It hits home a lot harder. So, Chief, thank you very much for everything that you do. Council and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting us be here this evening.
Thank you, Darrell. Okay, we're going to move into the regular agenda then. First, starting with Commissioner Eichelkraut's part of the agenda.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that the biweekly salary payroll of January 26, 2018, in the amount of $381,830.19 be approved and warrants issued.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Awesome, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that the monthly expense report of February 6, 2018, showing expenses in the amount of $838,964.02 be approved and warrants issued.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that an ordinance abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay principal of and interest on $4,770,000 worth of general obligations bonds, Series 2017 of the City of Ottawa, LaSalle County, Illinois, be passed and approved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Les, any discussion? Can you explain what this means?
Generally, these, when we issue bonds, even though there's an alternate revenue source to keep the financing costs down and we have a general obligation backer for the city, but when the special revenue is sufficient to do it, this is a routine matter where we abate the taxes, and in this case, it is sufficient to cover the payments.
It's working the way it's supposed to.
Yes.
Any other comment? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut, the resolution authorizing the execution of a transit service agreement between the City of Ottawa and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, St. Michael the Archangel regarding NCAT, which has been on file for public inspection since January 16, 2018, be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that a resolution authorizing the execution and amendment to the Section 5311 grant agreement regarding NCAT be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second? Commissioner Les, any discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, this is the agreement we have with the state on how we fund the actual NCRAS system. We also get money from the federal government. We also received last week, 4 new buses. And right now, we're working on a plan for a new call center and plans for a new bus barn, which will be over by the Public Works building. So I think we're moving the right direction on NCAT. We're growing. Things are looking fairly good, so.
Any other comment? Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Eichelkraut that a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an employment agreement for an appointed city official and Kevin Noblock as part-time NCAT driver be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion?
As you see, Mayor, we actually have put an application in the paper, and it's still available if people want to put their application in for bus drivers. So we are looking for more at the present time.
Any other comment? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Anything else for the council?
Not at the present time, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Awesome?
Moved by Commissioner Awesome that a resolution authorizing the execution of an engineering and land surveying services agreement between the City of Ottawa and Renwick and Associates Incorporated regarding the 4H Road Storm and Sanitary Sewer Project, which has been on file for public inspection since January 16, 2018, be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Les, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier. Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Austin that a resolution authorizing the execution of an engineering services agreement between the City of Ottawa and Renwick and Associates Incorporated regarding the White Lane Sanitary Sewer Extension Project be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion?
Yeah, this is 28 properties on White Lane, Parks Lane, and Gentleman Road that are on septic, and a few of them have failed. They need to hook to a sanitary sewer, so this will be about a $400,000 project.
These are properties in the city, right?
I believe 28 of them are. There's also 3 that are outside the city limits that we're offering them to hook up. They
Any
would
other
have to annex to do it.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Awesome that change order number 2 from Grand Rapids Enterprises Incorporated in the increased amount of $21,917.05 for the Oak Lane Sanitary Sewer Extension Project be approved and paid for from the wastewater fund.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Austin that the city clerk be authorized to advertise for bids for the long-term control plan manhole and pipe rehabilitation project. Bids will be received until Thursday, February 22nd, 2018, at 10 o'clock a.m.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion?
This is part of the combined sewer overflow fix. I think it's estimated to be 1.3 million.
Any other comment? Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Anything else for the council, Commissioner Awesome?
No, sir.
Commissioner Gainier?
Moved by Commissioner Gainier that a resolution authorizing the execution of a standard clinical affiliation agreement between the City of Ottawa and Illinois Valley Community College, which has been on file for public inspection since January 16, 2018, be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Gainier that a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the City of Ottawa and Wallace Fire Protection District regarding mutual aid for water tanker service be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion?
This provides for automatic aid for areas within city limits that may not have water available to us, municipal water supply, where we would be requesting tankers to come if there should be the need.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Commissioner Gainier that a resolution adopting and approving a computer and electronic communications policy for the City of Ottawa be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Les, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
We have the report of the police chief for the month of January. Squad car calls, 1,465. Arrests, 497. Prisoners, 57. Sent to state institutions, 0. Sent to county jail, 0. Sent to juvenile probation, 8. Central Dispatch handled 1,037 911 calls, and Central Dispatch also handled 5,155 administrative calls. Moved by Commissioner Gainier that the report of Police Chief Brent A. Rolson for the month of January 2018 be received and placed on file.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Awesome, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
We have the report of the Fire Chief for the month of January. Number of bell alarms, 3. Number of still alarms, 28. Activated alarms, 23. Number of medic calls, 287. Number of transfers, 103. Mutual aid calls, 5. Number of patients, 317, for total calls for January of 444. Property loss was at $52,500. Contents loss at $1,000. Vehicle loss at 0, for a total loss for January of $53,500. Total non-residents billed for medical services was 82. Moved by Commissioner Gainier that the report of Fire Chief Steve Haywood for the month of January 2018 be received and placed on file.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Anything else for the council, Commissioner Gainier?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Less, anything for the council tonight?
Nothing this evening, sir.
Okay, Don, anything for the council?
I do not, thanks.
No, Mayor.
No, thank you, Mayor.
We'll go to the mayor's part of the agenda then.
We have the report of the registrar for the month of January. There were 29 birth certificates issued and 38 death certificates. Certified copies were issued with fees totaling $1,515. Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the report of registrar Shelley L. Monks for the month of January 2018 be received and placed on file.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the report of the Parking Administration Department showing fines collected of $4,110 and $52 collected by CPI, all for the month of January 2018, be received and placed on file.
Is there a second? Commissioner Awesome, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
We have the report of the building official for the month of January. There were 19 building permits issued with fees totaling $12,226. Total number of on-site building inspections, 46. There were 3 demolition permits for $25, 2 sign permits for $51, 33 general contractor licenses for $3,300. We had 131 people renew their electrical licenses for $13,100. 5 new electrical licenses issued for $500. 8 electrical permits for $400. Total number of on-site electrical inspections, 43. There were 6 plumbing permits for $30. Our ordinance enforcement officer did a total of 48 inspections, and our code enforcement officer did a total of 108 inspections, for a total of permits and licenses of 202, with fees collected of $29,602. Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the report of building official Michael J. Sutphin for the month of January 2018 be received and placed on file.
Is there a second? Commissioner Austin, any discussion? I just note that on the building permits, we had over $3 million in estimated value. Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a tax increment financing redevelopment agreement between the City of Ottawa and BASH LLC be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Austin, any discussion? This is pretty much a standard agreement. It would, since that downtown TIF is running out, it only goes to 2022. We've offered 67% rebate of the net increment. That's the additional real estate taxes that are generated by the new facility. Any other comment? Motions to place it on file? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a tax increment financing redevelopment agreement between the City of Ottawa and GC Housing Development LLC be received and placed on file for public inspection.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eichelkraut. This is for a proposed a low-income senior housing project with about 40 units that would be constructed downtown. If it's approved, it's got to go through a vetting process, a competitive process. The city's commitment on this would only be a maximum of $61,000 over 10 years. The purpose of it is to provide rental assistance to veterans for 2 units in the project. It also provides that at the end of 10 years, if there's any excess money in the fund, that it would be returned to the city. Any comments on that? Motions to place it on file. Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution authorizing the sale of real property owned by the City of Ottawa by public auction on Wednesday, February 28, 2018, at 12 o'clock p.m. in council chambers for property located at 703 East Joliet Street be adopted.
Is Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? I just saw pictures of the inside of this property. It was a house kind of near Walgreens on Joliet Street. And it was just filled to the brim with debris. We had it removed, and it's a beautiful old house with beautiful woodwork and glass doors, and it's really kind of neat for the right person. So if anybody knows anybody who's into rehab, make sure they take a look at that. Any other comment? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that an ordinance amending Section 2-502 of the Municipal Code of the City of Ottawa, LaSalle County, Illinois, by modifying the term length of Flood Commission members to 2 years, be passed and approved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Less, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution authorizing legal action against 534 Second Avenue be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? This is one of our dilapidated properties, and we're asking our council to give us direction on how to proceed. Roll call, please.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution authorizing legal action against 515 Illinois Avenue be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Awesome, any discussion? It's the same situation. Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution authorizing the execution of agreements between the City of Ottawa and multiple 2018 Wine and Jazz Festival vendors and authorizing the mayor to execute these agreements be adopted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the City of Ottawa and Tana Baggett for property located at 700 Houston Street be received and placed on file for public inspection. Be it further moved, a public hearing be set for Tuesday, February 20th, 2018, at 7:00 p.m. in council chambers on the said agreement.
Is there a second? Commissioner Less, any discussion? Roll call?
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a resolution committing local funds towards the I&M Canal rewatering project in the City of Ottawa be adopted.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Commissioner Less.
First off, I just wanted to thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting. It's great to see so many people within the community caring about different parts of the community, whether you are in support of the watering of the canal or whether the opposition too. It's always important to have a voice, and was really happy to hear everyone talk tonight and hear about the passion within the project. Obviously, over a number of years, there's been a lot of work done in advance of this day that we're looking at this point where this very well could come to fruition. I thank everyone that's been a part of that, and again, you've done a lot of work with that. That being said, I believe it was in Arnie's presentation, he had spoken, the initial engineering work was done in 2000, 2002 or so, and out of that, the original estimate had come to around 4.5 million, I believe, is what was addressed in the presentation there. Since then, a number of things have changed with the plans, reducing the scope, and more or less trying to get that number within reason to make it more manageable and more financially suitable within the community, but still providing that access for the residents and tourists, and another attraction as well too within the beautification of the city. At the same time, I still do have some concerns with the engineering of the project, and particularly the potential of leakage within the project. Not anything can necessarily be sealed. There could be some ramifications with that, possibly with some groundwater issues, possibly some flooding. We really don't know. The canal hasn't had that much water in there for that much time. We really don't know at this point. Another thing that I've been concerned about as well too with the canal is on the potential and probably the reality of mosquitoes within the canal. Typically, a 3-foot elevation of water doesn't support fish habitat, which typically a lot of times fish clear up your larvae problem with your mosquitoes and kind of reduce that. Again, I do have a concern with that. Algae may or may not come. We're looking from a freshwater source from what is now been changed from previously the U.S. Silica property for watering, and now the plan's been more or less revised to actually drill a well within the canal. That too, I have a little bit of questionability with on whether or not the well would actually keep up, for one. Secondly, would there be enough turbulence and enough velocity in the water to reduce some of the other concerns that I do have? I am extremely concerned that it may not go exactly as it is planned. In reference to the well, again, is it going to be an adequate supply to put the water into the canal? At the same time, looking at leakage that may happen, is it going to be enough to actually keep water in the canal if it does leak? The other concern that I do have is if it does leak, how do we fix it? Where does the cost come to repair it? What damage possibly may be caused with the leaking? Another concern that I have with the water source being the well is that that would be coming out of a shallower aquifer within the region, and numbers and volume estimated are looking at annually around 65 million gallons of water a year is what we would be putting into the canal from our local aquifers. That being said, brings me to probably my last concern, and that would be funding. Initially back in 2010, 2012, when the project was kind of really taking some more excitement and some new dynamics, a lot of the funding was looking to coming from grants. And in 2012, the city did submit for a grant, and unfortunately was not granted that. It was actually a very nice grant that would have paid nearly an 80% to a 20% match to the community. Funding would have been secured at that point. So with that being said this evening, again, thank everyone for coming. I admire your passion for the project. It very well could be a great project. And again, I do have some concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Awesome.
Yeah. And I too want to thank everyone for coming. I know this has been a hot topic. Boyd, I know the chamber sent out an email encouraging everybody to contact the commissioners. No one called me to support it. I had numerous calls not to waste the money. And just so you know, as far as all the comments about the canal, I get it. But you can't spend the same money 2 and 3 times. Boyd, you and Matt came to the council supporting the visitor center to buy a piece of property. And so we used up all the money out of the hotel motel fund, all the excess money, so they could buy a new office. And in less than 3 months, there's a proposal that's, let's use $200,000 from the hotel motel fund to finance the canal. The money's already gone, it's spent. Supposed to use $200,000 from the canal TIF, and the canal TIF is $500,000 in the hole. And I know there's a lot of business people here. I don't know how you can think that that's fiscally responsible. This project from the beginning was supposed to be done on grants, and we'd have to kick in some money. And I notice in the resolution that we're going to commit to tonight, the city's committing to pay $600,000. It doesn't say $200,000 from donations, $200 from the canal TIF. It just says the city's on the hook. And that's what I have a concern with. When the emails went out to all these business people, I would have been more impressed if Bob came back and said, you know what? I got pledges for $200,000. They ponied up. And that didn't happen. But like I said, I didn't get any calls. I know a lot of friends of mine are supporters out in the group. But every call I got was against the project. I've got a whole stack of articles that I printed up from the Times going back from 2010, where the project started off, was going for a grant, we didn't get it, went for another grant in 2012, didn't get it. At the State of the City address, Bob announced that we were finally going to be able to get it done. And he was quoted saying that and I'm not going to look for the quote, but something to the effect that he's got commitments on in-kind contributions to cover the majority of the project. We had 3 prominent engineers working on the project to get free water, free pump, free electricity, free pipe from US Silica. And then in December of this year, we find out that all that free stuff's going to cost us $1.5 million. So from going to free to $600,000, and really it's hard for me to understand how you can commit funds that aren't there. They're already spent. And I know you're going to use it from some other fund and pay it back. How long is this going to go? This is the same problem we got with the state and federal government. Anyway, I'm not changing my vote.
Thank you. I'll address a few things. Wayne, you want to go? Sure.
Well, first of all, Arnie, I want to thank you very, very much for taking that canal boat away from me, because I'll tell you what, I sat and watched that thing decay for I don't know how many years. I had to move it I don't know how many times, and I was never so happy to help you as move it. So that was one good thing to get out of the way. And, you know, I've been thinking about this, and I understand Dan's view, and I understand JJ's view. I also got a lot of calls, and the calls were a little bit both ways, but more towards the canal. But I did have some friends that actually called me and reminded me that in 1999, after the Rotary put in the Rotary Walk, the first part of the Rotary Walk, we started a Riverwalk committee, okay? We ended up putting a sign down there by the Riverwalk, showing where local businesses are and stuff like that. And they called and they reminded me this was part of what we were going to do if we ever got that far. And we have not completed it yet. The mayor is taking care of getting past the library now. I'm sure Central School will be taken care of when we actually do that project there. So there's only a little stretch left, and I understand watering the canal would make it beautiful, and I think that's a great idea. And like I said, I understand what Dan's saying. I understand that there is no money in the TIF, and then basically there is no money in the hotel motel tax. The first thing tonight, when I got the first paperwork from Christina, was that we were going to pay $600,000. Okay, well, that didn't go over too well with me. But I know that we have enough money in the enterprise fund that we could actually borrow from them. And I had her put in this agreement that any funds that we borrow from the enterprise fund for this project must be repaid back in full by the hotel motel tax or the TIF. So that's where I'm at this present time. I thank you, everybody, for coming. I actually thank you for all the calls, whether they were negative or whether they were for. And it was really appreciative to have people involved and forward through this. Okay, Mike?
Thank you. Tom, anything? I just did want to make a couple comments. This has been a project that's been part of a vision for a long, long time, and I was looking at the record just as Dan was, and it does go back to almost 18 years or so when Etchite did the original estimate for rewatering, which was in the millions of dollars, but that kind of that plan called for using Fox River water and actually either getting it here by gravity from the Dayton Dam or pumping it. In 2006, we created the TIF, the Canal TIF District, and I'll say that all of our TIFs go up and down, but the way we make them work is we kind of combine them and shift them to where we need them. This canal is contingent with the Canal TIF is contingent with other TIFs. There's TIF funding there. But in the original Canal TIF project or documentation, you have to list the potential projects, and it's just a wish list, and you use really big numbers because you don't know what the future is going to hold. But we did have a line item in there for rewatering the canal, and we had set aside $6 million to do that. That's not to say, and I know the money's not there, it's not $6 million, but it was part of the vision when we created the Canal TIF back in 2006. And we did have several attempts to get transportation enhancement grants, ITEP grants. We put together real good applications. They didn't succeed. Sometimes we've had multiple applications. One year, I think it was the same year we got we applied for the street lights and landscaping on Columbus Street and got that 80% grant. I will say here, we do have a grant. We've got about $200,000 going to be provided in-kind services, men, equipment, and fuel from the U.S. Army Reserves and the Marine Reserves. That's equivalent to a 25% grant. It's really an $800,000 project, minus the $200,000 roughly of work that those two branches of the service will perform. I'd also say that we've been pretty creative, I think, in finding funding for very important projects through the use of our enterprise fund. And that fund was funded when we offered enterprise zone benefits to the wind towers out by Grand Ridge and Ransom out in that area. And we actually ran little strips of enterprise zone land to bring those in so that they could receive certain benefits. In return, they provide us with a payment every year. I think we got a couple more years left, which has been amounted to millions of dollars over the years. I don't know the exact amount. And we've tried to keep that segregated for special projects. And one of those projects was the IVCC College. And I think I pledged to try to raise some money for that too, and I don't think I got what I had hoped for. I think I got about half.
I didn't want to we've been here long enough.
I was counting on two $100,000 contributions, and we only got one, I think. And by the way,
you had the pledges, Bob, you just didn't get the check.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's been a little bit more hard in the last couple of weeks. I only started this a couple weeks ago, but with all the controversy about whether the project's going to go forward, I think, and Arnie, your organization has collected something, haven't you?
We have almost $20,000 just in a very short time, talking to a few people. And we've got letters out, and we'll be doing more, so we're intending to raise money ourselves.
But anyway, to go back to the enterprise fund, what we did with the IVCC project is we coughed up a lot of money to buy and rehab the building, which was the old post office, and then it was the Union Bank building on Main Street, with the idea that with the proceeds from the rents, we would pay it back. And that's what we've done every year, and we're pretty close to getting it paid back. I don't know how much more we got. But anyway.
I don't know. I didn't look that up. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's funding there right now. We don't have to pay interest on it. It's our money. And my proposal was we do the same thing with respect to this project and pay it back with hotel motel tax money. And Dan's right. We spent between that and you didn't mention the Kris Kringle huts. Between that, we probably spent over $200,000 out of the hotel motel tax fund, because we have excess there. We have that over and above what we pay the visitor center to run our visitor tourism operations, and what we pay for our special events. We have an excess of $125,000 a year coming in. So in the next 3 years, we'll have $300,000 to $375,000 coming in that we won't be using for the visitor center or the special events based upon current expenditures, for example. And I think that fund is only going to grow. We have another hotel we're expecting to have a groundbreaking pretty soon on. That would be another 80 or so rooms in the community. So I think that the council can be assured, if it chooses to go that route, that we would have the funding. You're right, what we have to commit to tonight is the overall amount, $600,000. We don't have to decide tonight where that's coming from, but the resolution says it would come from donations, from TIF revenues, TIF funds, and from hotel motel tax, and possibly using enterprise funds, which would have to be repaid. That's what the resolution says. And I appreciate Wayne's comment and suggestion that we put that language in there, because that was the intent from the beginning. I think the project is very worthwhile. I think it's one of those things that will be a game changer for Ottawa. I hate to say this, but I just got my first check today, which was for $1,000 from a gentleman from Ottawa named Bob Casera. And he had a very moving little note that came with it. And I did have two entities ask for our tax ID number, so I think that means they're sending checks. But I don't have a big number to tell you right now. But
I've got a letter too, if you'd like to see it. Short and sweet.
So that's why I've advanced this project. I think it'll be a game changer in many ways, and not only provide the nice things we talk about in the tourism, the recreation opportunities, but I really think it can provide an incentive for some commercial and residential revitalization around the canal, whether it's new homes and apartments or businesses, and appreciate the fact that we have some of those local businesses on the canal right now in this room tonight that kind of get it and support that project. So, and thank you all also for exercising your rights, citizens. We appreciate that. Anything else?
Bob, I'd like to make another comment on the,
Go ahead.
you brought up the enterprise zone fund. When we did that, I was finance commissioner, and also through my work, I had dealt with the wind farms before, and I knew that there was more money available than what they originally were offering. So we entered into these agreements, we had a good flow of money. The first year, the excess money it just disappeared. I said, what happened to that money? Well, I don't know, somebody bought this, somebody bought that. And then the council agreed to segregate that fund and use it for special projects that we would be able to pay back. We'd take loans from them and pay it back. And the IVCC was one of the first big ones. Then the following year, we had to do some major HVAC work, which we tapped into that fund again. I think we've done a water tower. Parks and Rec have done a number of parks projects. But all of those entities have structures to pay the fund back. And so coming up before this, and I don't know how widely in the press it was, but we're starting a new water or sewer project going up Route 71. It's going to bring sewer up to the intersection of 80. And we're also going to do water down the road, which is going to create, I believe, a great opportunity for economic development. The bids came in substantially lower than we wanted, or that we expected. And rather than bonding for that, the plan was to use, all along, was $1.5 million from the TIF and $2 million, and bond for $2 million. We said, why go to the trouble of bonding and getting the lawyers involved and everything? We'll borrow the money from the enterprise zone fund. The revenue from those two entities, the two truck stops, brings in $200,000 a year. So it'll take us 10 years to pay back that loan. Which goes back to my question of how can you spend the money twice? I mean, everybody said that was a good idea. Let's do that. We can still bond when we have to. But
Well, go ahead.
and then on your hotel motel revenue, I think it took us quite a while to build up that excess money. I don't think there's an extra $100,000 a year. We give a pretty decent chunk to the visitor center. Then we give, I think, 40,000 to special events. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we give, and I mean, I don't think there's, I think it's going to take a lot longer to pay back.
There's less than that in there a year. There's less than that in there with how we fund our cruise night and all the ones yeah. Because we had that 175 from multiple years being built up.
We'll have to take a look at that. I think it's roughly around 100, but I may be wrong, but that's the details that we can work out when we do our budgeting. And I was just going to say, I think what came out of our work session last week with respect to bonding is that we have to sit down and figure this all out because it's not as simple as we thought. I was under the impression from the beginning that the project out north or out on 71 would pretty much, that the revenues from the facilities out there would pretty much generate enough money to make the bond payments. But figure that out.
But we might have,
I mean, because
we might have to bond some of it, okay?
But
I can tell you right now, we cannot bond the whole thing for sure, because you cannot use gambling money, which was part of the system, for bonding. You can't use that as a revenue source.
Right, but that can go into the general fund and use
Right.
the payments, yeah. All right, any other comments? Roll call?
Awesome.
No.
Gainier?
Aye.
Eichelkraut?
Aye.
Les?
Nay.
Mayor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the report of the Plan Commission meeting held on Monday, January 22nd, 2018, considering the conditional use permit request for a PUD from Heritage Harbor, Ottawa, and approving preliminary and final plats for Port Place East and Port Place West be received and placed on file. Be it further moved, the council concur with the recommendations of the Plan Commission, and the conditional use permit be granted, and the preliminary and final plats be approved, and the follow-up ordinance be passed and approved.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Eichelkraut, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Les.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the report of the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting held on Thursday, January 18, 2018, considering a variance request from the fence ordinance for Mike and Tony Anderson for property located at 918 Chambers Street be received and placed on file. Be it further moved, the council concur with the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals and the variance request be denied.
Is there a second? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to bring up something that, I went over there and I took a look at the fence, and I went and talked to some of the neighbors to see if there was any problem. They had no problem with them. Some of them were actually glad that it was put there. And, you know, sometimes I think that we don't stretch, we don't go far enough, or we got too many strict rules, and sometimes we don't really, you know, think about the people involved. And I know for sure that this person had brought our building inspector a drawing of the fence before it was actually put up, okay? Maybe the communication wasn't there or whatever, I don't know, or maybe somebody didn't read the whole ordinance when they put the fence up, but, you know, it doesn't block anything, it just sits there, it's nice, it looks good, and it's not blocking any right-of-way, or it's not blocking any view whatsoever, and you know, that's just my opinion.
Any other comments? I did talk to the gentleman, and basically, the fence is too high. It's a solid fence. It's sort of in his front yard. The permit clearly talks about what the height limitations are. He didn't catch it, but more importantly, I don't think either his contractor didn't catch it or didn't want to catch it. I think if he needs to lower that fence, his contractor ought to be liable, and I think you ought to be going after the contractor. But I knew we do have ordinances for reasons. The zoning board of appeals voted unanimously on this, and even though I understand his concern, it doesn't seem to me that it'd take that much for him to be in compliance, and really, I think his contractor ought to be on the hook for it, but that's between him and the contractor. Any other comments?
Can we weigh in with the contractor? I mean, was there a fence permit and construction permit and everything? Because, I mean, I was concerned about this fence ordinance when we passed it, and I guess I'm one of the ones that would be in non-compliance. When you have a pool, you're on a corner lot, you got 2 front yards. And I didn't like the ordinance when they put it in, and I think the only way we went along with it is because there was going to be a process for a variance to go and be heard out and be able to make a plea, and it sounded like they just went by the letter of the ordinance, and it's tough, but,
I mean,
Well, if it says 6 feet, 6 feet being 6 feet, it doesn't mean 8 feet, I don't know. It's not a corner situation, and if you guys want to pick it over to go look at it or something, I haven't looked at it, but I'm just following the recommendation of the,
well, what I like to say, I mean, that's what I
Zoning
thought
Board.
a zoning board of appeals was, so you could have appeal, so you can make a change. It's no different than when we voted down the historic inn, okay? There's still a process to go through where you can actually have it in any place because you have a zoning board of appeals.
right.
So if there's never an appeal given away or given, why would you even have the zoning board? Because you have to follow the rules completely.
It seems to me most of the ones that come before us do approve the variance. Most of the recommendations from the zoning board of appeals do approve the variance. Sir?
I'm Mike Anderson. Can I say something?
Sure.
Please?
This is your fence we're talking about.
Yeah, it's your
Yes,
fence.
yes. When I came here to actually draw where the fence was, I said I was putting this in my front yard to actually kind of, if you guys have drove by it, and I love my neighbors, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a block or two to the south. and they never do their leaves, and they never do this, and that's where my boat garage is, and it is privacy. But when I drew this up, which I'm not an artist by all means, I said this is where I want to go, and I'm not saying Mike did me wrong. I'm not saying that at all, because he's helped me out a lot, because we've gotten a lot of permits. But when the contractors came and actually measured everything, they stopped and said, wait a second, we can't go all the way down. We have to angle the last piece, and we have to stop about 10 foot from the curb, and I'm like, and I was in, because I didn't even want them to angle it. If Mike would have said right off the bat that I couldn't put the privacy fence that we wanted, I wouldn't even put it up there. I mean, because it was almost $3,000 just to put that fence in there. And she's mad at me because it is my fault too, because in the back of the permit, it does say that it can only be a certain height. But when two people don't stop me in the process, and it took over 3 months for somebody, and it wasn't even a neighbor who complained, it was the other fence company from the street that saw that they put it up, and then they complained on it. But and I appreciate you guys taking my phone calls, and I'll let you guys, sorry.
That's not a problem at all here. Any other comments?
Question.
Mr. Gainey?
To overturn a decision by either the Plan Commission or the Zoning Board of Appeals, does it not take a supermajority vote?
It does.
And the motion here is to concur with theirs, so actually to overturn it, it would take 2 votes? Is that correct? Take
I think it would take 3.
3?
3.
Yeah.
I'd have to pull it up. But I
That's-
believe it's a supermajority, and that would take 3 votes.
We could table this so we can figure it all out and everybody can take a vote if you want.
I'm okay with tabling it.
That motion?
Sure.
Commissioner Austin made the motion, Commissioner Les seconded. All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
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 Okay, we'll look look into it and address it at the next council meeting then.
Sorry for bringing up a little thing in front of
No,
It was a lot easier than the canal, Mike.
you probably thought you were supposed to have 10 people with you, right? That's okay. All right.
Could we have bumped him the first part of the agenda? or-
You ready?
Go ahead. Next
Moved by
item.
Mayor Eschbach that the request for rezoning from James Brook for property located at 1140 First Avenue be received and referred to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Awesome, any discussion? This is just a referral. Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Moved by Mayor Eschbach that the request for a conditional use permit to operate a bed and breakfast from the Synod of Lincoln Trails of the Presbyterian Church for property located at 116 West Prospect Avenue be received and referred to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
Is there a second to the motion? Commissioner Gainier, any discussion? And this is just a referral. Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
You have a
We have
proclamation.
a proclamation, and then we're done. Whereas the Motorsports Hall of Fame was established in 2014 to honor LaSalle County area individuals active in motorsports, and whereas nominees are required to have resided in LaSalle County and competed, promoted, and/or been actively involved in motorsports for a minimum of 10 years. And whereas on March 3rd, 2018, for the third time, the Motorsports Hall of Fame will induct its newest members into the at the Ottawa Lions Club. Now therefore, I, Robert Eschbach, Mayor of the City of Ottawa, welcome the Motorsports Hall of Fame to Ottawa and congratulate the 2018 inductees and the local Motorsports Hall of Fame organization.
I don't think Hank's here, but I don't think Hank's here.
All right.
Okay. Moved by Mayor Eschbach that a proclamation welcoming the Motorsports Hall of Fame to Ottawa on Saturday, March 3rd, 2018, and congratulating inductees be adopted.
Is there a second? Les, any discussion? Roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Do you have anything else, sir? Moved by Mayor Eschbach that this regular meeting be adjourned.
Second, Gainier, roll call.
Awesome.
Aye.
Gainier.
Aye.
Eichelkraut.
Aye.
Less.
Aye.
Mayor.